Hi! How are you all? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Peyton and I'm here to do my, I almost said February, March reading wrap up. I had a pretty decent month. There were a few stinkers and I'll start off with those first. Overall, it was a fairly good month. I read 5 on my Kindle, 1 tandem, 1 audiobook, and the rest were physical. I will start from my least favorite and work my way up, and I'll try not to be too ranty because the ones that I like the least were mostly covered in my mood read with me blog. I might still rant a little bit. I'm feeling a little goofy. I had a caffeinated beverage. It's a little bit after 3 o'clock. I had it around 2:30, so I am like, let's go! Dick. Hell. Oh no. Shit. Not my knitting. Alright, my least favorite book this month, which is no surprise to anyone who saw my other vlog. Such a bitch. I fully realized that this book is not for me. I'm not the audience for this book. Picked it up because it is so ubiquitously loved all over the internet. TikTok, books, Booktube, Bookstagram. Creators I really like love this book, and I don't get it. It's Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. This is a dark romance comedy about 2 serial killers, Sloane and Rowan, who kill serial killers. It's like a play on Dexter almost, or Dexter fanfiction, which is all fine and good. I'm not poo-pooing about that part of it. It was not well written. The characters were insufferable. They are so is that car driving by. They start playing this game with each other, which is like pretty much the first half of the book, where once a year they meet up to take down a serial killer of each other's choosing, and whoever wins that match, blah blah blah. I just couldn't get over, like, there's so many white knight moments with Rowan coming to rescue Sloane, and it's like, these are supposed to be like really, really good serial killers, right? Who are like eluded by the FBI. Like, you have to suspend reality when reading this book, and I could only I could only suspend it so far. The second half was mainly just smut, and it just wasn't for me. Yeah, I just don't think I'm a dark romance girly. I just didn't enjoy it at all. I think I gave it 1 star. Like, there were some parts at the beginning that like made me laugh and I was having like a little bit of fun, but then it just... But if this is for you, great. It's just totally not for me. So that's all I'm gonna say. I've already spoken too much about it. Next book was an ARC I got from NetGalley, which is The Woods All Black by Lee Mandello. I was so excited about this book. It was on like my top most anticipated books of the year. It's a horror, historical fantasy, trans romance. I think I'm missing a genre, but there's a lot packed into it. I think it's 160 pages. It's a novella about this trans man, Leslie, who comes to work in this Appalachian community in the 1920s to be the new nurse and to help inoculate the community. And right off the bat, it's just horrible for him, and he's constantly misgendered. He receives a lot of hate, unwillingness from a lot of the townsfolk. It's mainly led by the preacher, who says he's a failed woman and no one should trust him. He brings a plight upon this community, blah blah blah. Also, the romance part of it, there's another trans man in the community who is targeted, an 18-year-old called Stevie. And that's something else that bothered me a little bit. It's like, Leslie's supposed to be 30-something and Stevie's 18. I don't know, it just bugged me. But their romance is so not there. They're so flat. They're such flat characters, and really nothing happens. Nothing happens until like the last 10% of the book, where you get the horror and the romance, and it makes what happens so laughable. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's just like, it completely took me out of the book. Hard left turn. What the hell am I reading? It was a big letdown. It was just a mess. It was just a hot mess. The pacing was bad, the romance part of it wasn't there, and the horror part of it really wasn't until like the last 10%, like I said, and it's just, by that point I just didn't care. I wish it had almost been longer and had picked one genre to focus on instead of all those other ones, because it just felt like a hot mess. And the writing wasn't bad, it's just like I just feel like there wasn't enough of anything to keep me interested. And I finished the whole thing in 1 sitting, but it was not a good book. I'm really bummed. Maybe it's a me thing. It does have a current Goodreads rating of 4.5, 334 ratings. It's not a lot, but maybe it's just a me thing. Yeah, it was just a mess. Another book I didn't like, I listened to the audiobook of The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon by Stephen King. It was meh. At best, it centers around this girl, Trisha, is on a hike with her mom and brother, and her mom and older brother are arguing because there's been a divorce, and they've been arguing a lot, and Trisha hangs back to go to the bathroom, and she thinks she can cut across to reach them, take the shortcut. She gets lost. And she's 9. Another book where you kind of have to suspend your belief a little bit because, one, I don't know any 9-year-old that can talk like this. Like, have these fully formed thoughts and did what she did to survive. I think she's out there for, like, days. She's lost in the woods for days, not getting enough water, not getting enough food. She starts to hallucinate. All she has is her radio. It's called The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon because Tom Gordon is a relief pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. And she's obsessed. Loves him. Obsessed with him. And she starts imagining him out there with her. I thought there was going to be more of a supernatural element to it, like some more horror. It was just kind of dull and boring. And there's one... Oh, I just remember. There's one part that, like, I was... Wow, these are shitty parents. Like, there's this one part... I think Tessa's been missing... I think Trisha's been missing for, like, over 24 hours. And the dad and mom get back together and they're waiting at the hotel. And, like, the brother's in the other room. And, like, they decide to hook up. That's what they decide to do. While their daughter's missing in the woods. They have no idea what happened to her. They don't know if she's been abducted, if she's dead, or anything. They're supposed to be so stressed out, and the police are, like, doing the search and all this stuff, and, like, we're just gonna bang. And our son's next door, like, crying and, like, thinking it's all his fault. And it's just like, Steven! It just was, man, it wasn't a great book. It wasn't a terrible book. Definitely not my favorite Stephen King book at all. I don't really see what the purpose of it was. I don't know. Wasn't for me. Next, this was also a bummer. I also got this as an ARC from the publisher. A Magical Girl Retires by Park Celion. I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm so sorry. I was also looking forward to this because look at this cover. Look at this cover! Sailor Moon energy. And it is. Like, it's kind of like a play on Sailor Moon and, like, if magical girls, like, actually existed. Alright, I'm gonna put a trigger warning because I'm about to talk about some suicidal ideation, suicidal thoughts. If that's not what you want to hear, if you're sensitive to that, please go to the next part. It's down below, you can move ahead. The main character doesn't have a name, a girl, a millennial. She's drowning in credit card debt. A little bit after it's a little bit more like a year into the pandemic. She got laid off from her job. She's drowning in credit card debt. And she decides to jump off one of Seoul's main bridges. As she's about to, she's approached by a clairvoyant magical girl who tells her she is the next magical girl. And to stop what she's doing, she's really important. We need her because the world's going to end because of climate change. Right? And the illustrations that mark each chapter are beautiful. They're so pretty. That was the thing that kept me going throughout most of the book. Honestly, it is more of a fantasy lit fic kind of play. My main thing was it's another shorter book. It's 170 some pages. It's just kind of, I don't know if it's the translation. Apparently he's a really famous translator. Anton Her translates. I don't know if something just got lost, but it was the pacing was really weird. It's kind of like being a magical girl isn't all it's summed up to be. Like, you have to go to, like, conferences, have all this pressure on you, and job fairs and unions. There's not really a great perk. I think I can see what the author was trying to do is like a commentary on what it means to be a millennial, feeling lost at this point in your life, where I kind of felt this way. So, like, I do see what she was trying to do, and she's 29, the main character's 29, and she feels kind of lost, not sure what to do next, has debt. I'm in my 30s, but still. I remember during the pandemic, I luckily still had a job, but it was just like, what am I doing? I think a lot of us had, like, we had all that time to just sit and think. It's like, what am I doing with my life? What's next? Like, I feel like I should be doing something more important. Blah, 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 like all these thoughts. I thought it would be more witty or more imaginative. It just kind of starts then stops. Big climax was really not that big. Like, what leads up to it. Parts of it are charming, but, like, I feel like the dialogue was a little weird. I felt it was okay. Yeah, it was just okay. Next, I read Blood on the Tracks, Volume 1 by Shuzu Oshimi. I heard this was really disturbing, and I was like, oh, alright, say no more. disturbing manga. Let me see. It's about this mother and son who have a oddly close relationship, or an uncomfortably close relationship. I think it's set when the main character, I think, is in middle school. His mom is like very much a helicopter parent and still wants to be hugged and kissed, and his son's like really embarrassed by it. They go on a holiday as a big group with like other kids and stuff, and then something happens that's really horrible and everything changes. It does leave on a massive cliffhanger, so I can't wait. I'm waiting for the volume 2 to come up from my library, but the art style is really pretty. It's really like, I don't know how to describe it. It's really like flowy and very pretty manga. I think it's gorgeous. I did like it. Like, I love this kind of story. It is very slow and it creeps along very slow, but it is so creepy and unsettling. I wanted more to happen, but again, like, it's such a short read. Like, I maybe I should just wait until it's like more of a collection, because I'm just so impatient. Like, that's why I have the Berserk Omnibus, like, deluxe editions, because I'm so impatient and just want to keep reading. Yeah, I liked it. I read an arc of Eric LaRocca's new book, The Skin Was Once Mine and Other Disturbances. Really liked it a lot. There's 4 short stories. There's one I didn't like as much, but the other 3 were really good. The first one, especially the title, story, is really good. It really creeped me out. So unsettling. I want that gut punch that I got from Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. By him. I didn't get that this time, but my jaw did drop. I was like, at one part. That's just it. I want that gut punch. I want that, like, disturbing horror that I know he can do. But I did really like it. I think I gave it 4 stars. I recommend that if you liked his other work, but if you didn't like his other work, like, I know his last release, I can't think of the name of it, was not a lot of people's favorites, but I think they went into it expecting it to be like Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. Still, this is not like that. Like, not the same type of gut punch, but I did think they were really well-written stories. And like I said, the first one was like, oh my god. I will probably always pick up what he writes, just because I have that memory, reading his well-known book and just being like, totally like, what the I just realized I almost forgot a book. And I almost forgot it because it was on my Kindle. That's why I just need to talk about all my Kindle books first, because I'm going to forget them. I just wrapped the video, and then I was just like looking at my Goodreads, and I was like, oh, shit, I forgot one. I read This Is Where We Talk Things Out by Caitlin Marceau. It's a very short book. I think it's 98 pages. I read it in one sitting. It is a horror thriller type of book about this young woman who is dealing with a very toxic mother, a gaslighting mother who has pretty much burned every bridge that her daughter has offered her in terms of having a relationship, but her mom begs her for one more try. Let's go away for the weekend. I got a cabin. Let's talk things out. Oh man. So the award for writing most horrible, infuriating, gaslighting parent goes to Caitlin Marceau. Oh, I wanted to jump out of my skin. This for my parent? Hell no. Hell no. Some of the stuff she says, and I'm just, man, like, you kind of want to wring the main character's neck, because, like, it's kind of like, why would you are a much better person than me to give this woman a try. The tension, like, there's so much tension and stress throughout all 98 pages. They go up to the cabin and it starts to snow and they're snowed in and it's really creepy and all these creepy things that are in the cabin, and her mother starts talking about it, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, and it's just, it packs such a punch for 98 pages. I really enjoyed it. Like, I've not felt that stressed out in a hot minute from reading a book. Woof. Yes, I highly recommend that. I think it's on KU if you want to read it. Highly recommend if you want a quick, freaky, creepy little read. That was good. I really liked it. Alright, that's the last of my digital reads. And then for my IRL book club, we read Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. This is about a woman named Tova who's older. I think she's in her 70s and is dealing with the loss of her husband, and as a way to deal with that loss, she starts working as a custodian at the aquarium in her small town, I think in Washington? Southern Washington or Northern Washington, to pass the time and just be busy. And she starts to form a relationship with the resident giant Pacific octopus Marcellus. Oh, I loved Marcellus. And then also 20 years earlier, Tova had a son who disappeared. And it's the town's like biggest mystery, what happened to him. Nobody knows what happened to him. And Marcellus might hold a clue as to what happened to him. There's also a bunch of, I didn't expect the other characters involved. I thought it was honestly just about her and the octopus, Marcellus. There's quite a few different perspectives and characters involved. There's one, Cameron, who is a young man who's nothing's going right for him, and he's on this quest to find his dad and turn his life around, blah, blah, blah. He was insufferable. I think because he reminded me of an ex, I was like, go away. Get away. And to me, I think the ending, it was just like too many coincidences led up to a perfectly tied up ending, and I was just not really about that. It was like too clean, too like, alright, I'm done, I wrote a book. And it was just, I honestly wanted more Marcellus. Like, I wanted more of him, because he only has, like, in his chapters, which are like, usually like a page or a little bit over a page long, of him, like, his inner monologue. He is great, and yeah, I wanted to like this more. I just thought it was fine. I don't know if I'll pick up another book, but I'll probably pick up another book by her if I hear good things, but overall this was just it was a charming little read. If you like charming little reads with perfectly tied up endings, oh boy, this book is for you. Really big favorite of mine this month, Silver Under Nightfall by Rin Chiapeko. This is, like the blurb on the back says, queer romance like Castlevania, Priory the Orange Tree had a baby. That's basically this book. This was so much fun. It's about a vampire hunter, Remy, who, when there's news of a mutant vampire outside the city, he goes to investigate along with the help of two other vampires because they're trying to make an alliance with the humans from their courts. There's like all these different courts of vampires, which I can't explain. I have to like diagram it out. There's like that's a lot to explain. Anyway, that travel with him to investigate. So there's a big mystery aspect. Also, I'm gonna say it. If you like the game Bloodborne, this also reminded me of that because of the fighting and the weapon system and the kills. This was a lot of fun. I had such a great time with this book. The book 2 comes out April 2nd, so very soon, Court of Wanderers. I will be picking it up, but this was really great. My favorite fantasy books I've read in a minute. Yeah, I just had a lot of fun with it. Characters were so to die for. I have more extended thoughts in my mood reading blog, but I loved this book. Love. And then I'm only going to talk about these briefly because I will have a vlog coming out shortly. I'm not done with reading all the books yet, but it'll be in response to Kitty Coulson's Booktubers Best of 2023 reads. So I picked a few that were on my TBR that I had physical copies of to read. I think I picked 5. The 3 I did get to this month were Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, and Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I'll share more thoughts on these when that vlog comes out, but just know I found a favorite of the year in this stack. I know I did. A new favorite author. It's been going good. I was honestly so unsure just because there's some books like Virtue and Blackbird where I felt like just were not good or overhyped and all this stuff, so I was worried about reading the stack or the books I picked out that, man, I hope it's just not an influx of books like that. I've been pleasantly surprised. Keep an eye out for that. It'll come out, if not next week, the week after. And the last book I read this month, just finished it today. Hoo boy. I might get emotional. It's just, I can't believe how much this series is like taking over so much of my brain. Has just skyrocketed to like some of my favorite books I've ever read. Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is book 2 of the Farseer trilogy, following our character Fitz. I'm not going to talk too much about the main plot because I would spoil stuff of book 1, Assassin's Apprentice, but I will say Assassin's Apprentice follows Fitz Chivalry Farseer, who is a royal bastard. His dad was king in waiting to the 6 duchies, which is the land in these stories. In the first book, you meet him as a very young boy, and I think at the end of that book, he is 15. There's only 2 magic systems. There's the skill, which is only part, really, of the Farseer line, way to telepathically communicate or influence whoever you are skilling. And then there's the wit, which is, in this universe, dark magic. Very much not a good thing to have. It's looked upon almost as a curse, but you can telepathically communicate with animals, and in Fitz's case, dogs. Which, I saw the tagline for this book, or another name for this book was like, a boy and his dog, just a boy and his dog. And like, that's so apt but it is so much more than that. Like, you see Fitz, I think at the end of this, he's 18. You see Fitz grow up more, become more involved in court politics. If you're looking for a lot of action, a very fast-moving story, these probably aren't the books for you. It is very much a slow burn type of fantasy, and I have wholly discovered that that is my favorite type of fantasy. After I just read Priory, Silverrun and Nightfall had a lot of action, so I can't say that. I like being with the characters. I like being in the world. It's truly a character study. Like, I think that's why I liked Priory so much, because it truly is a character study. There's a bunch that happens, just like in this. There's a bunch of stuff that happens, but it is very much a slow burn. Lots of talking, lots of spending time with Fitz and in Fitz's head. Like, you see him grow and like fall in love and develop more of his skill and the wit, or dealing with what's happened at the end of book 1 into book 2. I love it. I love it. I am so glad as a newer fantasy reader that I discovered Robin Hobbs, because it's so great. Another way I can describe like these books is like old man fantasy, and I mean that in the best way possible, like stuff your dad would read. And these came out like the 90s, at least the first trilogy did. Assassin's Apprentice made me cry. This made me tear up. It's just so much, her writing is just so beautiful and just holds so much power and emotion in it. And you feel so deeply for these characters. These are books you're either going to really love or you're going to hate, depending on what type of fantasy you like. It's just lovely. I love it. I love it. I can't wait to read the rest. How many books are there? 13, 14? There's a lot of books in the Realm of the Elden Rings, and I'm only on the first trilogy. But that's it! I had a pretty decent reading month overall. I wish I could talk to you more about the others, but keep an eye out for that blog. What was your favorite book you read this month? Are there any upcoming releases that you're really looking forward to? Let me know down below. And if you can't think of anything else to say, then put the coffee emoji, because I'm highly caffeinated. And I'm gonna go read some more books. As always, thank you for clicking, thank you for watching, and I'll have a new video for you soon. Bye! Bye! Bye!